Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing a requested video of how to draft this wrap gown. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So first, here is my pattern and you're going to go ahead to mark out the basic pattern. So to mark this pattern, I'm going to place my tape and mark my shoulder to bust line, which is 9 inches, and next I'll mark my shoulder to waistline. So after I'm done doing that, I'll go ahead to mark 7 inches from my waistline as my hip point, and I'll take the full length of this pattern paper as the length of my dress. So now you want to go ahead and mark your shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder divided by 2 is 7, and I'll come down by 1 inch. Now I'll go ahead to mark 3 by 1 inch at the upper part of this pattern, and I'm going to connect, drawing out the basic neckline. So you're going to go ahead to cut out the back pattern first before going ahead to cut the front pattern, just like we have when we are cutting a blazer. So next you want to find your chest line, that is after you're done connecting your shoulder slant. To do that is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So after dividing mine, I have 7 inches. So what I have on the shoulder, I'll also measure it back on that point just to have a straight line. So I'm going to place my tape and I'll mark the distance from my bust to my new chest line, which is about 1 inch, and I'll go ahead to place my ruler, connect and draw a straight line. So looking at my line is not so straight, but please make yours straight. So I'm going to divide my armhole into 2, coming by half, and at the lower part I'm going to go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. My bust is 33 divided by 4. I have 8.3, and I'll go ahead to connect. So next I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. So my nipple to nipple is 3.5 inches, which is your bust band divided by 2. So I'm going to go ahead to mark this all the way down to the hip point of my pattern. Now, so after I'm done connecting and drawing a straight line, next you want to mark out your dart. And to mark out your dart, we'll be using a basic dart intake of 1/2 inch on both sides of the waistline, and from the bust point I'll come down by 1 inch. Now I'll go ahead to connect and also connect on this other side of this pattern. So after I'm done connecting, at the lower part from the hip point, you can come up by 3 inches or 2. So I came up by 3 inches and I went ahead to connect it back to the dart we have at this point. So after I'm done connecting, the next step is to go ahead to impute my body measurements. My bust circumference is 33 divided by 4. I have 8.3, and I'll add the sewing allowance. I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, which is 28 divided by 4. I have 7. Now I'll measure the dart intake, and whatever I have, I'll replace it. So my dart intake was more than 1 inch, so I had to do some readjustments, and after marking my dart intake, I marked the sewing allowance. So at the hip point, I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4, which is 40 divided by 4. I'll mark and mark the sewing allowance. So whatever you have on your hip, you want to take out about 1 inch. So you're going to add up your hip circumference plus your sewing allowance and minus 1 inch from it, or 1.5, but 1 inch is also okay. So I'll go ahead and mark it at the lower part. So after doing that, the next step is just to go ahead to connect my pattern, starting from the chest line down to the bust to the waist, and from the waist connect it down to your hip point. So your shape and mine might not be the same, but whatever you have, go ahead to draw it out, and I'll go ahead to mark it down to that point. So after I'm done doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out, and we'll be using this pattern to cut out the front. So when you're cutting this pattern, please make sure that is on fold. For the back pattern is on fold, unless you want to cut your pattern into two separate half and join it back. So after I'm done cutting, just like I said, we'll be using this pattern to cut the front part. So after you're done cutting, you're going to place this on another fabric or another pattern paper if you're drafting before placing your pattern on the fabric. So you're going to mark from 3 inches to 4 inches. This totally depends on the person you're working for. If the person is a lot bigger, you can also go ahead and use 5 inches. Just like I said, if the person is big, let's say the person is fat, you can go ahead and use 5 inch, or you can use from 3 inches or more. So I'll go ahead and I'll connect it down to the lower part. So after I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to place this pattern paper on it, and I'm going to trace out the shape I have at the back pattern. So you'll be leaving that allowance you have in front. So I've gone ahead to place this, leaving the allowance we have in front, and I trace the back out. So now looking at the armhole area, you notice that you have like a princess dart at that point. You want to divide your armhole into two, and you're going to connect it right to your bust area this way. And going down to the lower part of this pattern also, you're going to go ahead to extend that nipple to nipple line that I have. So you're going to extend yours to the lower part of this pattern, and I'm going to go ahead to outline this. So after I'm done doing this, the next step is just to go ahead to alter the neckline of the pattern. So I'm from my waist, I'll go up by 2 inches or 3 inches. So this is what we have exactly on the thumbnail, and from there at the neckline I'll connect all the way down to that point. So you also want to cut this pattern on fold also. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it to the neckline this way. So this is what I have on this point, and next we're going to go ahead to work on the lower part of this pattern first. So from this point, I'm going to come down like 3 inches from my hip point or 4 inches, and I'll make a mark, connect it down to the lower part close to the first initial starting line this way, because if you notice from the thumbnail, there is a bit curvy at the lower part. So I'll go ahead and I will cut all of this out. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed to this YouTube channel, please hit on the subscribe button, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. So looking at the thumbnail, you notice that there's a joining at one part of this. So I'm going to go ahead to cut out the dart, and you're just going to cut this as two separate pieces and join it back. So after I'm done cutting this out, this is what I have on my pattern paper. I'm going to go ahead to take out the pin at those points, and I'll be showing you the results right after. So now this is the part that is the center, and you're going to go ahead to place it this way. So you're going to decide the part that you want your wrap to come in. So most times I prefer it coming from the left. So at this point, you're going to be creating the loop for the wrap this way. So I'm just going to make a little dot to indicate the loop for the button of the dress. So at this point, you're going to insert a rope, and by the side you're going to go ahead and come up by 2 inches from the waist and create a space to pass your rope. So you're also going to attach like a belt to this side that you use to tie the bag, just like your normal wrap dress. So with this, we have come to the end of today's video. A thumbs up, and also join us in our next video.